Do we need any executive session this evening?
There's a possible discussion to have regarding the Lister's office.
I don't have any yet.
Okay, then we can dispense with that. The other issue was town report dedications and photos, which we can discuss in executive session under personnel.
Okay. Anyone else have anything under executive session? If not, I need a motion.
Make a motion.
Second. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Do we need to amend the agenda other than what you just stated, other than, so I guess we need a motion to,
So amending your
we're amending,
taking off,
we're taking off the discussion
Of the mutual
of the
aid
mutual
agreement.
aid agreement. We're just gonna postpone it for a week, for another meeting. And we're adding comments from Brian Wood. Is that-
Yes, but it's
That's
in,
in
it's in the
there, it's in
revised
there.
agenda that was posted
Oh, okay.
per our
That's in-
policy
that's in there.
on Monday afternoon.
Okay. So I have a motion.
So moved.
Motion been made, seconded.
Second.
It's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I don't know if you've had a chance to look at minutes, which I did
I
email
did,
around
I don't,
earlier.
did the rest
I
of the
did.
board? I did.
I did.
Okay.
I don't have any questions. Anybody else have any questions or omissions on the
Minutes are.
Minutes
right
from
here,
last
Joe, if you
meeting?
wanted to look at them in tonight's packet. It's the first thing here from last week's meeting. It's a short turnaround time.
Okay, thank you.
We can hold that off till later if you want, for Joe to go through them.
you can table them till next meeting.
Yeah.
You want to table them until the next
We'll
meeting?
table those
That's
till next
fine.
meeting, yeah.
Yep.
Pass those over. Any questions on the orders
I
tonight?
do want to mention a couple of things. First, Joe, the sump pump that was purchased by the water department in the last set of orders is not dedicated to a specific location. It's just for their use whenever there's a leak or water that needs to be pumped out of a break or something in the field. And the old one had just given up the ghost, and this is a replacement of that one. That was
So
that
this
order
is
was
kind of
for.
a portable deal for help
Yes.
when they need it.
That's right.
Sounds like a good deal.
The other question is, I've noticed it a few times, but I haven't dug into it because it's only been, $7 here, $8 there. There is a monthly charge we are seeing from Green Mountain Power for a bus plug. And so I wanted to take your temperature about whether we should try to have the Northeast Supervisory District take over that payment. I think it's a benefit for them. It's kind of an engine warming apparatus right here behind the town office for their school buses. So, I mean, we can continue to subsidize that, or if you want to further disentangle our finances from the school,
Are they
we could
parking
get
buses
them to
here?
pay those going forward. It's for the school buses.
When do they park their buses here?
Is it something they're
I know, I've
using
never-
or?
I've never seen a bus parked here, so I'm questioning that.
Well, I'm told by Patch that the accountant, her understanding is that school buses will occasionally use the outlet to warm their buses. I mean, maybe that's not true, in which case nobody should be paying it. But if it is true and the school is benefiting from it, the question is whether the town should continue to pay that or ask the school to start paying it.
Well,
It's
we
not a
check-
lot of not a lot of dollars, but it adds up
Well,
month
no,
after
no,
month.
but-
Why don't you
Check.
find out
Yeah,
what it is
Yeah.
and then, because we really can't make a decision
Yeah.
if we don't know what it is.
Well,
Okay.
I have no idea. I've never seen a bus.
I've never
parked
seen a
there,
bus
so-
here, but,
Yep,
But maybe they do.
See if
I'm
they
not
use
looking.
it.
well, maybe they
Never
got a long
seen on your
extension
mic?
cord.
we'll look further into it,
Yeah.
okay?
Any other questions on the orders this evening?
I noticed there was fire department service calling for tires. There's two bills there. Figures up to about $1,000. What was that? Some replacement of some tires on some fire equipment or something?
I
I
don't,
think the ladder truck had some new tires put on it. I don't know if that's the bill or not.
They
It's
got
around $1,000.
two separate bills. One's like 700 and something. The other one's what?
756 at
To
Rouse,
Rouse,
Rouse
yes.
Tires.
It
Two
was a
up right
service
there
call,
together.
so.
New tires on the ladder truck. Steering tires.
So they came, put some new tires on it.
They
or
came
something
right to the
like that.
station, did it, yeah.
Yeah, and that was approved per Bill Hempel.
Yeah. They did.
Another expenditure was, well, it's the attorneys for the tax sales of 2,500. That's probably the legal fees for processing the.
That's right, and we pass
Tax
those
sale.
on to the taxpayers. So whenever there's a payoff, they have to take care of not only their delinquent taxes, interest and penalty, plus all the lawyers' fees and costs.
Their percentage of whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought. Thank you.
sure.
Town manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Back on that tax sale issue, the town's tax sale will take place this coming Tuesday, January 28th at 10 o'clock. That's an annual thing that the town does. As you know, now there's only one parcel that is subject to tax sale. So that's been a good result this year, lots of voluntary compliance. We continue to have a planning commission vacancy, so we'd encourage any member of the public to come forward and identify themselves and their interest in serving and helping plan for Pittsford's future on the planning commission. There is a modest stipend available to the appointed candidate. And further, we have a future health officer vacancy. Bruce Babcock's going to be retiring in May, and part of his duties has been that of a town health officer. So if anyone has an interest in taking up that volunteer position, please let me know, and we'd be happy to hear from you. There will be a staff meeting tomorrow morning, Thursday, January 23rd at 9, and as always, selectmen are invited to attend. I want to give you a February 5th meeting preview, Mr. Chairman. First, the highway foreman, Chad Ujer, will be present to participate in the discussions of A, truck replacement, B, V-Trans proposed safety signage upgrades on various town roads, and C, this mutual aid agreement that has been proposed by Regional Planning Commission for highway departments. The transfer station attendant, Wayne Guyard, will also be present to discuss several issues related to operations at the transfer station. And there will be someone from V-Trans, Carolyn Cota, I believe, to discuss the bridge replacement project at the mobile station. Finally, there will be a meeting of the Pittsford and Proctor policing committees on Thursday, January 30th at 4 o'clock here at the town offices. That's been confirmed.
That February 5th meeting, what time is it?
The regular select board meeting. Yeah,
Is that it, John?
that's it.
Any questions from town manager? Hearing none. Any comments from the select board this evening?
I had a couple things from last night's Regional Planning Commission meeting. The cell tower was brought up again, but there seems to be,
I haven't heard any more.
nobody knows, Regional hasn't heard any more on it, so they are evidently looking at other alternate sites, that's kind of the assumption. And the mutual aid agreement, the board voted to have Ed authorize it, or authorized him to sign it, so down there it's taken care
That's
of.
taken.
so,
That's good to know.
yeah.
Okay, anybody else? No? Any public comment this evening?
I've got something, Mr. Chairman. Vanessa Mills, who was here last week with a letter, asked me to read it out loud tonight. for the benefit of the televised audience, since we didn't have TV coverage. So if you'd indulge me, I'll do that.
Go for it.
All right, this is from Vanessa Mills at Trout Brook Hollow apartment in Pittsford. To whom it may concern, approximately 1 year ago, this very issue was brought to the attention of our town's select board. They agreed, I heard, that this issue is of critical importance, but tried to determine if it is a town or a state responsibility. The location of said issue occurs on a state U.S. highway, so perhaps this will help our town determine where to ask for resolution. I will back up by saying that last Sunday I had arrived home to my apartment where I rent at 120 Trout Brook Hollow off of Woodland Drive. Woodland Drive is just south of Sangamon Road and the U.S. Route 7 intersection south of Pittsford Village. As I rested from a busy workday that Sunday and almost took a nap, I was disturbed to hear a prolonged and unnerving rumbling noise in the direction of my neighbor's home at 1025 U.S. Route 7. Come to find out, my neighbor, Norma, thinking the awful sound was thunder, went to look out her window. She saw a vehicle on its side, headlights pointing away from Route 7. Norma went to see if she could call emergency vehicles, as she had done for accident victims before in her driveway or near her driveway for years. She calmed the victim by talking to her and told her help was on the way. Help did arrive, and I believe one of the helpers was Mr. Butch Shaw here, and we should thank him for Pittsford Emergency and Fire Departments wholeheartedly. I'm guessing many Pittsford Fire Department and Pittsford First Response folks have stories about this location I'm referring to as the, quote, Bermuda Triangle of Pittsford through traffic, unquote. Please, let's implore VTrans to look at Vermont State Police report archives and any related records over the past 2 to 4 decades to see what's happening here and who can minimize the constant recurrence of accidents. Since I've lived at Trout Brook Hollow, there have been 4 accidents. 4 accidents since Norma appealed to the town a year ago. 4 accidents since the roadway was, quote, fixed this past summer. More needs to be assessed and truly fixed. The accident this fall, after the road work, was 2 young moms and 2 young kids in the car on a sunny day with dry roads. Please, let's help travelers. The answer is not a guardrail installation, as this would simply pitch a car back into traffic fast moving on Route 7. The common denominator might be that all accidents occur to southbound vehicles. Accidents happen here day or night, all types of weather, all types of vehicles. Cars, trucks, vans, pickups, even a semi-truck carrying gasoline once, I believe. Now I understand school buses turn onto Woodland driving southbound. I think you know where I'm going with this. Do we need rumble strips on right sides made legal in Vermont? Do we need blinking lights here? More signage from Town Line Equipment all the way to the Winslow's Tree Farm, question mark. Both north and southbound, question mark. Perhaps. Please, VTrans, I'm told you'll help us. My legislator assures me you will. Please help us minimize accidents here. Norma at 1025 U.S. Route 7 worries every time she witnesses or aids a victim here that she'll go out to a vehicle and find the victim beyond help. Please, let's not wait to act before a death prompts us to wish we had. Please, VTrans, let's not wait for a childless mother or father, or a fatherless child, or anyone lost to this Bermuda Triangle be what prompts folks to action. Thank you. Respectfully submitted, Vanessa Mills. I will point out that I've been in touch with VTrans, and they have promised to look into it. And Devin Neary from the Regional Planning Commission, who has access to traffic statistics, is going to look at it as well. Same team, basically, that mobilized on the Vermont Route 3 concerns recently. So hopefully we'll have some good feedback from them.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other public comment this evening? Hearing none, we'll go into old business. State of Vermont Agency of Transportation regarding condition of the village segment through Route 7.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, per your request, that of the board last time, I've put together a draft letter to the Secretary of Transportation regarding the fact that we're looking at 2028 at the earliest for reconstruction of the segment 2, that is the village segment of Route 7 from the mobile station to Plains Road being reconstructed by V-Trans, and that we simply can't wait 10 years for at least some improvement to the current sorry state of the road. And so that has been put in a letter, and I put it in your packets. Butch Shaw has taken a look at it, and I think he gave us the thumbs up on how it looked.
Did
We
you like
haven't nailed
that
it off
letter,
yet.
Sean? Jesus.
What's
Oh,
the
boy. Butch, did you got a chance to read that letter?
I did, I got back to Tom with that, and
I thought it was a good letter, so.
You don't think adding anything specifically about Brandon? We had talked about that, right? Like
Oh.
what had happened for them with the businesses and
Well,
for
if we went much, yeah, maybe,
I can do
just
that.
making appointment, any kind
I
of
can do that.
potential business coming into Pittsford
Yeah,
and the issues
kinda.
they would have.
Yep, economic hardship.
Well, and the fact
Maybe
that
Delayed.
they're, use their rhetoric against them. They want us to move all this stuff into the village,
Right,
but we
but we
can't.
can't do it until our village is fixed,
right,
is the bottom line.
got it.
Maybe as long as you do that, add that paragraph, I'd say go ahead and send
Yeah,
it.
the
Yeah,
rest of
I-
it was
yeah,
good.
I wouldn't wait
Okay.
much longer, just go ahead and
Okay, thank you for the reminder
send us a
on that.
copy, do it.
Okay, will do.
Okay, well, we'll go into new business, legislative session. Butch, can
Thank
you
you.
fill us in on that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for inviting me tonight. It's a pleasure to be in front of you. So, report from Montpelier. Many of you have been following some of the stuff that's been going on up there. We approved a budget adjustment bill today, which is a mid-year adjustment to the budget without using any new funds and new tax funds. As a matter of fact, we're able to use some, what we call one-time money that the state receives that's not tax funds, and maybe grants, and maybe some other things like that we get. We get one time, we don't count on the balance of budget. We placed $18.1 million in the reserve for the next year's budget. So that was a good bill that went out today, 145 to 0. Tomorrow, we're voting on mandatory paid family leave. It's an up or down vote, there's no debate. It comes out of the conference committee of 6 legislators. This is one of the disadvantages of having a bill go to conference. Instead of 180 people making decisions, 6 people make decisions. But they've made those decisions. It will be before us tomorrow. That we're going to vote on that tomorrow. And like I say, it's an up or down vote. It's not debatable. So we'll get the information on the bill, and then we'll vote on it. Followed closely by Friday, where we're going to be voting on the minimum wage increase. And I don't know where that is. I'm understanding that they're going to, the conference committee again, we'll shake on that bill tonight, sometime this evening. It will be on our calendar tomorrow, up for action on Friday. I don't even know for sure where we are on it, because they were still negotiating this afternoon with the intent to have it on the floor for Friday. So we don't know that. The marijuana bill is not moving today. There seems to be some tension between the House and the Senate on that bill, and some tension between House leadership, the Speaker of the House, and members within the House. The Speaker's seems to be favoring the governor's position, in my opinion, on roadside safety, and currently there's not a lot of work being done on that in that bill. I don't know where opt-in and opt-out is yet. Currently, it's an opt-out for towns, and it may be an opt-in for towns. We're not sure. That's still in negotiations. Those are the 4 big things that I'm seeing coming up. There's a lot of other legislation going on. Today we got, for the biennium, the 2-year biennium, today we got up to almost 900 bills introduced in the House, and over 300 in the Senate. So we won't act on all those bills. We just don't have enough time, and got to be enough said on that. But so today was a kind of a record-breaking day for the House of Representatives. So that was interesting to see. But a lot of the bills now are being talked about more gun bills. We're talking about some economic development things that are going on. Transportation's just got their budget yesterday, which I'll refer to when I'm talking about the governor's speech, and so on. Mental health is a big deal, and if you haven't noticed, the corrections department's in complete disarray, so we're trying to figure that one out right now in my committee, actually. So the other thing that I was pleased with hearing this week was the budget presentation from the governor. And if you didn't hear that, our budget was 200,000. Our budget is current budget $6.1 billion, all funds, which is federal, state, and transportation funds. That the governor's proposal proposes to move that up to 6.3 billion for big difference. 6.3 billion for the coming year, while closing a $70 million hole on the projected revenue coming up this year. So he's closed that hole. The budget's gone up from 6.1 to 6.3 billion, and has not proposed any new taxes or fees to do that. The administration claims to have had good luck in finding efficiencies within state government. So that's where that budget fell. The state funds, all funds is up 2.8 on the budget percent, and that's those three ones I just talked about, which was the transportation general and state funds. However, state funds, that state fund section is up only 2%. That's good. That is really, really good. It falls within the lines of economic growth. The governor talked about economic development and economic affordability. He talked about trying to streamline Act 250. There's a huge Act 250 bill within the House Natural Resources Committee. They've been working on it for over a year now. There's some streamlining coming in that. I can't tell you where I am on that bill yet. Some of the versions I've seen have a lot of provisions in it that I don't like. Among them were altitude changes. One of the provisions I'm not crazy about is doing away with the local Act 250 boards. I don't want to lose that. For what little bit of control we have, I don't really care to lose that local control, but we'll see where that's going. Right now it's a 95-page bill. They're on version 9.2, and there are ways of voting that out. Talking about some tax incentives for businesses, large and small. Businesses that employ 100 and more, and businesses that employ under 100, to help K-State business stay here. This is not to attract new business, but to help businesses like one of our larger employers in town stay here. And it's a very attractive package if it survives the legislature. Governor proposes, the legislature disposes. So that's that tension that's always going on. The governor has also proposed to exempt the veterans' state income tax. And this is his third try at that, and the legislature has not found that favorable, but I think there's a bigger support for that this year than it has been in the past. He's actually said that we should expand the lottery, have sports betting, which is just legalized nationally in Vermont, and do some machine betting like Keno. And they've run some numbers on those, and there's some pretty good opportunities for funding to the state treasury. Dollars for tourism is up $500,000. I'm not sure how that's going to sugar out, but I think it's going to. It sounds like they've delved it up among the various county regional economic development areas to try to get some of that money on the ground. And the good thing is the transportation bill is up $25 million from previous years. Most of that's in federal funds. So I think that, and of course, the transportation bill itself is just being worked on now. I have hope that at least the grant, the money that comes to you locally in structures grants, paving, miscellaneous class 2 paving grants, and those type of things will not be level funded this year, but will be increased to a certain percentage. But I'm not afraid, but I think a lot of that money and that increase will be going into climate change initiatives that it has at the end of last year. We know that the education fund estimates will be going up $1.8 million this year. So another, it appears that there will be another increase in the residential and non-residential property tax rates to fund education in Vermont. We're looking at schools, South Burlington's talking about building a $200 million facility, which will all share a payment. Hercules, Stowe, and Morristow are looking at building a new high school. And we all have a small piece of paying that debt off. Those are the things that we're. So, fingering through my quick notes. So, interesting thing, and I'll shift off the budget just a little bit, but an interesting fact that came out yesterday, since Act 46 was adopted, which is the school consolidation law, we've lost 26,000 students statewide. So the demographics are abysmal. What's happening?
And the cost goes up.
Our youth are still still leaving the state, and people are frankly not having as many children as they've had in the past. 26,000 since
It's
Act
one of the highest in the
46.
country.
Yeah. Butch,
Yes, sir.
question. I read today, maybe I'm wrong, that the average for a student in this state is $19,000 a year.
Yeah.
Nationwide, the average is 11 or 12,000.
Yeah.
Why the hell are we so off?
Well, one thing is our size, demographics in this district.
But where's the
You
stop?
can see it right in our own district, Tom. We have 3 schools in our district that don't have.
And you lost how many students? And
Well,
we
have
lost
three-
how
We
many?
have 3 schools combined, don't have 90 students.
Wow.
And that translates all over the state. There's a
So-
school district down south that's got like 12 kids.
Act 46 is not saving us a lot of money then, is it?
Well, it has here, but not statewide.
Not statewide.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say it has here, but not statewide. But that's the
Might
challenge.
need some jobs, but
Jobs, right now, jobs are pretty plentiful.
Yeah, we
right
can't,
now.
we can't fill jobs, I guess.
Pardon me?
We can't fill jobs,
No, we
right?
can't fill jobs. I know of 28 jobs in Pittsford that are unfilled right now, and from reputable employers with good wages. So that's what I've heard in the last few days. That's happening here. So our demographics, the governor's concentrated on that, gave some suggestions on how we can do better attracting people here beyond paying people $2,500 or whatever it is to get here. That program, by the way, has proved very successful. It was, people didn't get 10, just to quell the rumor, people did not get $10,000. The grants were for anywhere from $500, some of the larger grants were $2,500. But it's controversial, but the program's been changed. So now if you're living here and still working here, you still can apply for that grant. So that's been fairly successful. But we still need people here to help us with the more people we have, the more we spread the tax burden around a little bit. And in full disclosure, the most well-received part of the governor's budget address was talking about growing our economic base, growing our population, and he solidly supported foreign national foreign
Immigration.
nationals living in Vermont, immigration into Vermont. He solidly supported that. He got a 5-minute standing ovation on that. Not just in the House members, from everybody in the building. It's a possible solution to a huge problem. We see it right here in town. And my last thing for you, Mr. Chair, is the census is coming up. We heard the other day, Rutland County delegation met with the census leader for our area. How important the census is and everybody to be counted is one thing. You have 4 chances to do it online or by phone. Nobody will come to your door. After the 4th chance, somebody will knock on your door looking for you. They want to count everybody, even homeless. So if you know there's any homeless folks, they want to count them. So, and how important it is, I still strongly feel, and I had this conversation with the town manager after the last census, Pittsford was undercounted. And when you do that, it affects a lot of things. It affects your grant money. It affects your representation in Congress and in the Vermont legislature, and even in this, down to the Board of Civil Authority, which is based on the number of people that you have in the town. So it's really important to get, and if you could get the word out, I appreciate that.
The upcoming newsletter will have a
Yep.
big advertisement encouraging people to participate and how important it is for dollars to people, as well as the website, and I think Facebook is encouraging people as well to
Well, thank you, John.
participate.
And just on a good note, they're looking to hire people, they're looking to hire census takers, and starting rate is $20 an hour, plus expenses. And it's not just all knocking on doors, just doing some work at home, just doing those types of things, so. You know,
Flexible hours.
Yeah, I can give you the address, the email address for the employment if you'd like to take a job. It's on 6-week jobs, so it's not a career. Any questions?
No, anybody got any questions for Butch? If not, thank you for coming tonight,
Thank you.
giving us
Glad
the
to be here.
info. Okay. Update on the budget preparations.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this will be the 6th and what must,
Final.
based on the schedule, must be the final
Hopefully finally.
evening that we discuss the proposed budgets that we'll present at town meeting. There have been no changes since draft number 5, with one exception. We noted when we were putting the town report together that the special appropriation approved last year for Vermont Family Network in the amount of $500 had not been added as a line item this year. So that $500 has been put
Put
into
back in,
that special
okay.
appropriation line item. That's the only change that has been made. And as a quick summary, despite fixed costs that go up each year, I think the broad good news, bottom line good news, is that the general fund is looking at a very modest increase with an overall tax increase on property taxes of 1.2%. Highway 1.7% for an overall combined budget impact of a tax increase, looking at about 1.4% rounded off. And if you look at neighboring towns, that's a much better figure than we're seeing in our neighboring communities.
We wanted to hold the line, but didn't quite make it.
We were trying to
but
hold it to
it's
zero,
close.
but sometimes the numbers are stubborn.
I think one thing it's worth mentioning, it is to me anyway, our 20-year bond was paid off this year. So we are, what, 80,000 or a little bit?
85.
$85,000 that we had extra money because that bond got paid off to help cover our expenses. So that did help us. It made our need to raise your taxes a little less. Next year we won't have that. So it's just something to keep in mind.
So essentially, following what Joe said, in reality,
Yep.
we're basically pretty much in line with what you're reading from the rest of the towns.
Right.
One factor also playing a role is that the highway fund balance has depleted over the last several years due to lots of extra salt and overtime being logged by a sizable number of medium to small even storms, dripping and hitting our budget for highway, to the point where a robust surplus or fund balance has shrunk down to about $16,000, and that just doesn't give us much room
No
for
elbow
error
room.
or for overruns in the future. So part of this budget will bulk up that highway fund balance to a more comfortable level. It's probably still not going to be as high as we'd like it, but more comfortable.
So do you have a figure that we've got to come up with on the,
Yes, I do. It is in the warning draft. That's here tonight, this packet. The amount for the, of the budget for the general fund is proposed to be $1,651,939, of which the sum of $1,283,829 would be raised by property taxes. That's the general fund. For the highway fund, The budget figure is $1,151,480, of which $1,015,200 is to be raised by property taxes. And on the village side of things, the budget is for $16,000, all of which would be raised from village property taxpayers, village property owners.
So I guess we need a motion to approve those figures.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's carried.
I appreciate all of you and your input throughout this 6-week or 6 meeting discussion. Thank you.
John, can you send me the warning?
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Now on the warning, I guess that's, we don't have anything else on the warning, do we?
Well,
The
there's going to be a
Robinson, yeah, we
discussion
do, we're gonna
involving
do- we're gonna-
tonight,
that's right.
Mr. Wood.
Mr. Wood,
The other
we'll do
elements
that.
of the warning as drafted are the dates of tax
Right.
collection, which
Yep.
should be non-controversial. The request from Wonder Feet Kids Museum for a special appropriation of $2,500, which will be up for discussion at town meeting. And we've also got an article that was suggested by Dave Mills, among others, that at the next town meeting in March of 2021, there be some discussion of special appropriations so that once approved, they don't become automatic forever, but that maybe there'd be some additional review of those special appropriations every few years on perhaps a cycle. But that can be a discussion topic at town meeting.
Okay.
The other item that's now in the warning is our proposal to abolish the office of listers in favor of a professional assessor. And we've discussed this on several occasions here in the select board. The fact is, all 3 of our listers resigned in rapid succession this summer, leaving the board to appoint a new, inexperienced lister who clearly needed some assistance to get the work of the lister's office done. That prompted the select board to hire a professional, at least through town meeting. And so many other towns are going the way of a professional assessor because the job of lister is becoming more difficult, more complicated every year with mandates from Montpelier and difficult calculations like current use and those kinds of issues. So a lot of towns like Proctor and others have gone, and Brandon have gone to the professional assessor approach. And that's going to be proposed in the warning. And that would have to be a paper ballot
Yes.
decision and vote at town meeting.
At town meeting, correct. So I guess at this
Chief?
point, Mr. Yes.
I just got, and I realize how this works, but the way this is worded in number 5, it's to see if the voters will authorize collection of taxes on real and personal property by its treasurer in 3 equal installments due on or before August 13th, September 17th, and November 12th. The way that reads, to me, it means you gotta pay it on the 13th, the 17th,
No.
and the 12th. And I understand, but it just, to me, it reads that way.
It's the language
Is
that's
it the
always
language
been in the
we've always
warning.
used?
Always
Okay.
been, yeah. They are actually due November. You
I-
had
no,
that
and I
option.
understand.
Well, put it this
but
way,
it-
there's no penalties.
There's no penalty
until November.
Until November,
Until
okay.
November. Right.
Just,
Some entities, like banks or other large entities, want to make these payments over time, so they're not faced with a
A huge
big
one.
one at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
And God bless them, because it helps us with our cash flow.
But they don't have.
I have had people mention to me that in paying them in the on the installment plan, they'd like to have a little discount, and I'm not sure whether that actually does happen in some towns.
Some towns will
It's
give you a
not in this
discount.
town.
Some
But
towns
that means you
will.
gotta raise taxes if you do that. You
I
gotta
think the
come up with
biggest
that money.
convenience is for some people, it's better not to wait till the 10th of November, like I sometimes do, and have to face it all at once. But
Well, we can certainly discuss that for a future years
I-
if you'd like. I can get you a
I'm not sure
comparison of
whether
what other
other-
towns do.
yeah, Maybe,
Would you like to know that information?
maybe the league would give you
Yeah.
a little bit of information on whether that's something to work.
Or we can talk
We've
with
talked
our
about it before,
local
I know.
counterpart
Right,
towns.
Hank? We talked about that before, and what it does, if you, the discount, sometimes you take a big outfit, and I won't mention any names, but somebody comes in with a huge check, you gotta make that money up if they get
Yeah.
a big discount. So you wanna be careful when you start offering discounts. That can come back and bite you.
It might be worth some
It
discussion.
might not be too.
I'd be happy to research it.
Yeah,
And get information at least.
yeah, I know. Okay. All right, Mr. Wood, I guess we've
Are you
discussed this.
voting on the,
No, we're gonna wait until we're done. Then we'll
Right.
do the whole warning at once.
Thank you,
You're up.
Mr. Chairman. Appreciate the chance to come talk. First of all, we'd like to acknowledge that the resolution would not have a real legal standing, but it would send a strong message up to Montpelier.
I'll just point out that the resolution is in tonight's packet if you
Right.
want to see the language. Okay.
Okay. We come here tonight to request that the board pass this resolution declaring our town in Article 16 and Second Amendment Constitution sanctuary township. We, the people of Pittsford, have taken notice of the recent and growing hostilities among our lawmakers towards our inalienable right to self-defense. This is evidence in their attempt to pass legislation eroding our rights to keep and bear arms in defense of ourselves and the state as protected by Article 16 of the Vermont Constitution and the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Despite our objections and overwhelming evidence to the contrary, law-abiding gun owners continue to be blamed for the horrendous acts of violence which continue to plague our country and to much lesser extent our state. We live in peace as all good people do, yet continue to draw the attention of lawmakers attempting to fix the problem by targeting good people. While there's no doubt that our society does in fact seem to have problems with violence, criminalizing peaceful people for owning a tool to protect their families will solve no problems and do nothing except create more criminals. The inalienable right to self-defense does not come from man or man's law. These rights pre-exist all governments and are part of our nature as persons. The founders of this country and the state of Vermont understood the importance of arms in the hands of common man as not only a hedge against invasion, but as a deterrent to tyranny and oppression from our own government. Civilian-owned firearms save countless more lives every year than they take. Often the mere presence of guns serves as a deterrent to violence in the hands of our weakest and most vulnerable. It is for these reasons that we ask the board to adopt this resolution as a symbol of our civil disobedience to those who would attempt to render us defenseless. Please pass this resolution in defense of our rights. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
You may.
I sympathize with your position. However, it's been the long-standing policy and the tradition of this select board not to allow any issue that is not germane to the town of Pittsford to be included in the official warning for town meeting. That is, any issue that the town has no control over has always been excluded from the warning. And to put you guys on would head us down to a slippery slope where, in fairness to anybody else that comes through with a non-binding resolution, it's not germane. To be fair to them, if we give it to you, we'd have to give it to them. So I move, my position is that we keep the town meeting as it is, a meeting where the townspeople come together to discuss and vote on local issues that they have control over.
Yes.
Yeah, hi, Dave Sulia, Oxbow Road. I'm here tonight to actually support Brian and this and what he's proposing. And I guess what I would say to the standing tradition, if you're not willing to pass the resolution this evening, then I think it should be something, and this I guess where we're looking for the opportunity to pass it along to the voters of the municipality of Pittsford so they can decide as a community if that's something that they would like to support. And I
But
would
it's-
say for the
it's-
record that in 2013, Irisburg adopted, again, non-binding language, and more recently Newport also.
And I agree that other towns have opened it up to non-binding resolutions that aren't germane. and you can lead to, we could have a discussion next year of nuclear power and any other item that the town has no control over. And town meeting should be what it says, town meeting. It doesn't say state meeting or federal meeting, it says town meeting. And I think we should stick to town business only. Not that I disagree with your position, because I agree with your position.
I agree with the position myself. Is this something that the board can support without going on the warning? I don't
Well,
know.
that's what, let me just, in
Dave, go ahead, you got the floor.
I guess, let's just say, and I'll throw this out, what if it was our First Amendment rights, which cover our being able to have a town meeting and speak freely at our town meeting? What would we do in that case? If somewhere along, let's just say, hypothetical situation, we don't have a building big enough in the town of Pittsford to house all the people that are here. What if the state decided, well, if you don't have a building big enough to house all the people, you're discriminating against people, so you can no longer have your meeting? What would we do in that case? I mean, this isn't this is one of our rights we're talking about. It's not something about nuclear power or something else. It's just my feeling.
But that's what you're opening up by going to a non-binding resolution that's not germane to the town. You could have anybody come in, you could discuss how come Vermont Yankee hasn't been cleaned up completely yet. You do all kinds of stuff that the town has no control over. And to me, town meeting is just what it should be, town meeting. Business that the town has control over. If you want to go to other things, you should go to the legislature, to the state legislature, because that's where they have control over this. We don't. It would be like us telling, no, I'm not gonna go there on the Route 7.
No,
We'll leave that one alone.
why can't we as a board, do this? You know,
We could pass a resolution, but not put it on the warning.
Right,
Yeah.
myself personally, I just
Well,
want
and
as a
so
board.
what is the difference, what are the implications for either, other than what Hank
Just
has already
the-
said on precedent?
Well, yeah, because we've never
So
done
is
that
that the
either.
only, would that be the
We've
only?
only ever done money issues.
And I'd be willing to sign,
I would sign a letter or
A
a
letter.
resolution.
but not
We
put
can do
it on the
resolution,
warning
can't we, Tom?
for the reasons stated. Because I do,
If you would sign the resolution, that's what we're looking for.
that's fine, I don't have a problem
I
with
would
that.
sign that. I have no problem signing that, as a board member.
Then I'll make the motion that we sign the resolution.
I would second it. So there, any further discussion?
I'll be the first one to sign.
Not if it comes around this way.
If I made the offer,
Any further discussion? If hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimously carried.
everybody got what they wanted tonight.
Yeah, I mean,
That worked
Yep.
fine.
yeah, it's,
Yeah, that's,
I
this
support
was,
it.
this was,
Not gonna take my guns away from me, I'll tell you that.
I think you may see this, there's some towns that are death against them selling marijuana in their town, and I'm not sure about what, that's another issue. And I'm not a big marijuana believer myself, but.
Come on, Joe.
I gotta roll my windows, I gotta roll my windows up when I go into Joe Gagne's lumberyard.
But
It's a greenhouse.
I'm not sure if some towns have voted it down or not, but
well, Clarendon has.
there's been some talk about it, and I'm aware of that. And I guess we haven't taken that issue up yet. But
And Butch is telling us that we may have a position to take in the
Yeah.
future, depending on what the
Well,
state
I
does.
think we've kinda known that right along.
Yeah, so, okay. I guess now we're back to the,
Yeah, but now we've got the
Now the town warning.
warning drafted and
drafted.
before you. If you'd like to approve it,
yeah.
you can sign it.
We can go
And
ahead.
we can post it tomorrow as we're required to
All
do.
those in favor of the town warning?
I,
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimously carried.
Who was your vote, your first and second?
What?
You didn't have a motion or a second?
We did too, we weren't paying attention. I made a motion.
I seconded it.
And he seconded it. It's not my fault, you're not paying attention on this.
It was a while back.
It's okay, Mrs. Hooker will see this tape, so, just
I'll
keep
pay
it
for
there.
that one. I'm sure. Okay, where are we here? We're not doing the highway, mutual aid.
Certificate of highway.
Certificate of
mileage.
highway mileage, we got that too.
If anybody doesn't want to watch the rest of it, you're free to go.
Yeah, it's all garbage now.
or you can stay.
Jeez.
Sometimes we have fun.
Dinner.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, folks.
Thanks for coming,
Thank you,
fellas.
everybody.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys
Have a good night.
and ladies.
That's it.
Somebody
Thanks,
had,
Butch.
somebody had to say it. I knew they all wanted to go.
I wondered why there were so many here when I walked in. I couldn't imagine.
It did go well. They got what they wanted. We got what we wanted.
That was a nice compromise.
Yeah.
Did we gain any miles? No, 64.261 miles. We didn't gain any miles.
Here you go.
I
Told you you should have taken a shower. Look at they all laugh.
That's a low.
Just think,
Oh wait, the camera's on tonight, isn't it? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
They're about to get going again.
I was gonna say something. I said, you know what? I said, keep my mouth
We
quiet.
talked about.
I think we should lay that one on the table.
We talked about guns, we talked about gambling, I guess prostitution is the next logical.
Oh, I was gonna say, you could tie that in
I
with the
know, I did
gambling
hear that in the
deal,
front
but
row.
we're still on TV. Oh yeah, we're still on. We're still on.
E-cigarettes are getting to be a big issue.
Thank you, Butch.
You heard that too, huh?
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
so,
I did.
Mr. Chairman, I think you were about to ask about the certificate of
Yes.
highway mileage. It's what the town signs every
Right.
year, just
We've got
what, telling the,
64.261 miles. It hasn't increased.
telling the
It's been
state
that
whether
for-
there's been any changes to
There
our
hasn't been.
linear feet of roads, and there
No.
hasn't
Still
been.
the same.
Fire Hill Road, let's not go
We're
there.
not going anywhere near.
We're not gonna touch
the
that
road
one,
that
Joe,
begins with
temple
another
ball.
H.
Did you increase it when you did that?
No, that's what got the neighbors upset. We had
Yeah.
already done the work with hardly a peep, but once
the
we
hell was
decided
that,
we'd
right,
like to
Bowie
get the
Lane?
extra funding
Yeah.
that reclassifying the road would do,
Yeah.
we had to have a public hearing, and that's what. pulled
Oh,
everybody out.
that's when you,
Oh, that's
So
it.
we've
Yeah.
abort.
Abort, abort.
now does this keep track of paved and unpaved? Does it break it?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
break
it does, okay.
It's everything.
I don't know, what is the total?
64.261. It's been that way for a long time. Almost
Thousand-
65 miles.
I don't know
around
where the
Pittsford.
thousandth of a mile is, but.
Yes, Channing Lane was thrown up for.
Yeah, it was
for
thrown up.
That's right, that was a couple of years
That
ago.
was,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, Alan
See, I
Hitchcock,
pay attention.
You do pay attention. I know you do.
Hitchcock Lane near
You have
there.
my
Oh,
sincere
exciting.
apologies.
Gee, she stole my line.
Squeeze it in there.
Yeah, just throw it about. Anyway, don't matter.
I worked on it with my bulldozer for the town at one time,
Oh,
way back in the 50s.
was it a coal-powered?
Okay, we need the
Dean.
compensation from V-Trans. Is it $500?
$500.
Wow.
They'd like to put up a temporary guardrail in support of their bridge project, which we'll hear more about next week. But they have given me a little bit more information than you got, which is kind of their grid, which determines how much for different kinds of impacts to different kinds of people.
We can't squeeze any more money out of it?
Well, my question is, do we want to take any responsibility for slowing that project down?
No.
Good point.
Where is this?
Okay, well, no.
It's
Down by the mobile
Oxbow.
station.
It's the bridge at the mobile station.
I guess my only question in that, as I read through that document, maybe I missed it,
Yeah.
but there doesn't seem to be any language about putting it back the way it was originally.
Oh, What we can.
Well, again, I don't wanna slow the process,
No, no.
but that was just something that,
Yeah,
I'll
just
tell
to
you-
clarify that.
Yeah. we
just
can
stood
clarify
out
that
to
and we'll-
me.
We'll clarify it and we'll have a
I'm pretty
discussion
sure
with
we
the
do.
person I've been
Yeah.
dealing with on this. And then also next week we'll have a chance to kind of complain
Yeah,
about
yep.
this condition of the current bridge and what might be done to Band-Aid it until they fix it, you know?
No, I did check, I don't know if anybody else had a chance, on Route 7 where that complaint on,
Yes.
sorry,
Yeah?
that road does not narrow right there. It's way up on the top of the hill where that.
Yeah,
comes
but
back in.
it narrows and
Not on the
it
corner, it doesn't.
it doesn't narrow, well, it starts to on, right after the corner, it starts
It's
to,
way up
but
around. I did it today. I
it's,
looked
no,
at it.
it is shorter than it used to be.
A little bit shorter, but it's
It's
still
shorter.
up on the flat when
It
it
is.
starts to come in.
But what seems to happen
I don't know why
with
that-
me, because you're coming up around that corner, and as you're getting into that corner, the arrows are telling you you have to go over, but the people that are passing can't see how far they've got to go.
I specifically looked today, that arrow
I-
is up on top on the flat. I'll take a picture of it. It's not
Oh,
anywhere
well,
down near there.
but I'm just telling you
Yeah,
what
I'm just
happens
saying.
when you're going up through there and people are passing,
They are passing.
because you can't see until the road is closing down. It used to go clear to, what's the road with the little sugar house?
Oh,
Yep,
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
little cul-de-sac.
yeah.
That's where it used to, the final
Up towards-
coming
up
in
towards
was. Now
Valancourt
they're making the
further.
final coming in back. And what happens is you get in that corner and you start getting
But
caught.
there's no sight of it there though, on the upper part. I looked specifically today to make sure I
Well,
wasn't wrong.
I've been down through there 3 or 4 times since the last meeting, and I've
Yeah,
looked
so
every
have I.
time.
Yeah,
Once
And
you,
it's-
once you get past,
When
when
you-
you get past that,
Up past this, not until you get way up on top, you see the first arrow. So I don't know why Patrick would even be slowing down right there.
Well,
There's
no,
no
but what
reason
no, but I'm saying it's, you're starting to come in before you can see the full extent of the road. That's my issue.
Even for
I
me.
don't know.
And
even
what
though-
happens, because maybe
To
I
me,
don't
it's-
drive as fast as you do. But what happens with me is I'm in
Oh,
the
no,
slow people's
Well, you're an
lane, because
old
I'm
pickup,
old. So I'm in that lane and people are passing and you've got cars passing and all of a sudden they run out of room to pass because it's not as long as it used to
But I
be.
don't think that's the issue though.
for
No,
me-
I don't know. I don't think it's the issue with the
That's-
accidents.
no.
I have no clue why
The
anybody runs
accident's
off the
not
road
the
there.
issue.
Yeah.
That's
But
what
they
happens.
do, but they do in great frequency.
Well,
That's
yeah,
the
and I
mystery.
don't, yeah.
I don't know why.
Dave, as you
lack
get,
of attention.
as you get up
All
on
those
top,
people, lack of
No,
attention.
the rest of them
and
fall
it
asleep.
starts
I mean, why aren't they
to
following-
come
why aren't they
together,
going up the road
flattens out, so you
elsewhere?
can't see what
You
you're
can't see
Yep, I know.
exactly.
Hold up, guys, because what's happening, you're going up the hill, and they're going straight when they have these accidents. They're either on their cell phones, they fall asleep. I've never had one where it's always somebody sleeping. I'm talking fire department actually.
Well, no, and
we've been there, and I've been to a lot
And
of
that's
them.
what the last one
And
was.
that's the last one. She said, I fell asleep.
And maybe that's
And-
why a rumble strip could come in handy. I
The
know they
state's not
say-
gonna do
they
that, I'll
say it,
tell you
they
that right
won't,
now.
but
They'd have them all
maybe
over the
there's an
state.
exception.
Anyway,
I doubt it.
Well, but if
I don't
they're
know.
saving lives, what's the big deal of putting a little
I
rumble
just-
strip here and there?
Because
To
the
save a
road-
life.
Because the road meets their specifications.
I personally don't think there's a thing wrong with the road myself. It's driver error.
Well, it's driver error,
driver
but I don't know
error.
how you, I don't know how you fix
stupid
drivers. Well, I don't know. But I don't know how you've just gone through Pittsford and it's not
don't.
like you've been on a straight highway for 300 miles. I understand somebody falling asleep, but I don't know how somebody would fall asleep there. I just don't see it.
I don't know.
Well, as you hit the curve before the station, people coming up in that direction, going through the village, are going like a bat out of hell usually.
Oh, yeah.
They're going way too fast, over the speed limit. And that's part of the problem.
The worst part is on the hill by the mobile station. That's where it narrows down real quick. Not the one down
Right.
by Giddings.
Oh, no, right.
If
But
anything, that's the one
but
that's-
that's always been that. The mobile station's always been that way, so you know.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if we want changes to be made, I hope they're not gonna spend a lot of time watching Tom Hooker's remarks on PEGTV.
What? No, but I just
Or
don't know how
David
you fix
Mills.
it, other than putting a flashing light up
No,
there
I
maybe,
know.
to wake somebody up if they're sleeping, but it's driver error is what's causing those accidents.
I agree.
Because it's such a straight run, they doze off, and then all of a sudden you're in that curve, and
I guess.
I agree with you, you can't put a guardrail there.
Well, no, because that's gonna bounce them in and hit somebody
You're gonna
else.
hit somebody head on, so
Yeah.
that would even make it worse.
Yeah.
Really for a big fish
I don't know
in
what
there,
the fix is, other than maybe a light, flashing light up there on the top of the hill. Signage is
What's
You should
that?
have seen, you should have seen what, by the way,
Wake you up? I don't know.
we've learned that the Gorham Bridge damage is minimal.
Oh, good,
But,
thank
but,
goodness.
but V-Trans took a look at it and said it was cosmetic, and then they proposed, if we want to stop trucks going through it,
Oh, here we go.
this ridiculous apparatus, which is basically like a soccer goal shape,
No.
upside down U with yellow and white alternating
Oh.
things.
That'll look
And
really,
that-
that'll look
that
really
was
nice
the
on the bridge.
ugliest
Oh,
thing
yeah,
I've
it'll-
ever
it'll-
seen.
Historical.
And
Yeah, when
Stan
you're taking a
Wilbur,
picture,
Stan
yeah.
Wilbur and I agreed, there's no way that we need to do that.
No, that's crazy. I
No,
don't
those
know.
people just need to be fined tens of
Hopefully,
thousands of
maybe the
dollars and
state
maybe
will
they'll
come up with
stop.
some miracle way of fixing that, but I don't see how it's gonna happen.
Why don't they do the same on my corner?
I don't know, yeah.
But it's again, it's driver error,
It's driver
stupidity,
error.
whatever you wanna call it.
I don't know how you
It's-
fix that.
Yeah, I don't know, there's certain things you can't fix.
Something
You can just hand them a sign.
I think, did we skip,
Did I
prep for town meeting and
we
town
did.
report?
Oh, yes,
Oh,
we
yes,
did.
we
Let
did.
me
We
give you
gotta
a
do
quick
that.
little update on
Yeah,
that.
just update on that.
as I said, the town report is nearly done. Dedications and photos,
That's right.
possible front cover photos are at the end of your packet tonight.
I saw that.
And we hope to discuss those in executive session. There will be a dedication ceremony here at the town offices on Wednesday, February 19th at 9 a.m. here at the town office. Also in the packet tonight, there is a draft letter that I had written for the board members to sign, kind of explaining what's coming up at town meeting and specifically focusing on the listers discussion. We don't have to approve that tonight, obviously, but sometime in the next week or the next meeting or two, maybe you could let me know what you think of that letter. We can
Okay.
tweak it so everybody feels comfortable signing it. It's basically an explanation about the budgets, but more importantly, the listers
Or,
issue.
yeah, explain
And then
that.
finally, a discussion of special appropriations article and the desire to improve participation at town meeting. And the thought I guess I had was that can be published in the newspaper, a much broader notice than actual town meeting. But we can also do what they do each year. Sometimes there's a doctor in the legislature who used to do these surveys, right?
Mhm.
Of what you think about issues. And you could easily have a survey box for town meeting balloting in which we lay out options like change the date and or time of the evening meeting. Some towns do it like a Saturday afternoon with like a potluck. Other options would involve daycare provision and or a potluck get-together. The issue, as I was thinking about the potluck, is just how that can be done on somebody else's property, the school, knowing that that's a Monday evening meeting. Are you really going to be able to
School,
arrange
because they have
for
lunch, yeah.
a potluck even an hour and a half before town meeting at 6:30, if it's at 6:30 p.m., and clear it off and rearrange chairs in time to do it? That just creates, for me, just maybe a headache as to logistics. It doesn't mean we can't do it, but that just occurred to me that that could be a little bit involved. But it could be a different day altogether. It could be a Saturday. Some towns will do it that way and have a lunchtime get-together and do the business from the floor on Saturday, noontime after lunch, and then the Tuesday voting.
And I think
That's
we
an
looked into this in the past, John,
Okay.
and they found that the towns that have done that, there's been no appreciable increase in participation.
It's something I can certainly talk to neighboring towns about in terms of what they would suggest. Maybe there might even be VLCT guidance on what other towns have done. I know they've done articles on the tradition of town meeting and participation.
Well, it's nothing like it used to be 75 years ago, that's for sure. It used to be pretty an all-day deal. They used to stop at noon and have a big dinner and
Oh, they have big
go on all
sales.
afternoon. And
Yeah.
they'd quit about time so farmers could go home and do their chores.
Yeah.
But I think people have lost their interest in many of aspects.
It's not like it used to be.
The fact that you vote on
The next
part of
day.
it, Australian ballot, part of it, you know,
And the fact that
all
we've
that's-
lost the schools portion.
And,
Oh,
yeah,
right,
you know, the
that's-
school is
yeah.
That was half
Pulled
our
out.
clientele, people
Right.
go
Not the
because of
same.
school.
Yeah.
Now I don't even know if they go to the school meeting, do they?
people are so damn busy working
I don't
and
think so, I don't know.
they got kids and stuff, it's just,
Well, and there's a lack of, because what was it? Was it
I don't know,
Shrewsbury
give a
I was
damn
talking
either.
with last night? They've got a 3-member select board. They're only gonna have 2 members. Nobody's running for the open seat.
where's
So I'll have
this?
to appoint one.
Shrewsbury.
Shrewsbury.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
And therefore it has to be unanimous or else they don't move forward, yeah.
That's unusual.
Yeah. Well, won't they appoint one? I would assume.
I don't know. He didn't know what they would end up doing.
That's what they normally do.
They
That's
normally
that's
appoint
normal
somebody if
procedure.
nobody runs.
Yeah.
Well,
Same,
maybe they
same
can
here.
appoint
If somebody doesn't run, you gotta,
Talk
You gotta
the
fill
next
a
meeting,
seat.
you fill those.
Mark
Yeah.
Youngstrom has retired from Otter Creek, and he kept talking to me about possibly running one day. Maybe we ought to recruit him for that, but that's another town.
God, there must be more people living in Shrewsbury now than there was
I would
50 years
think.
ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's a
I don't know.
bedroom town for the city.
Yeah, but the city's gone downhill.
No.
Well, I'd like to look in what
So-
some of the other towns that are
Yes.
doing potlucks, because I just feel strongly about that. Maybe it won't work, but I feel like if we could try to make that work, that and childcare, I feel like it would attract
I'm confident we
Yeah.
can take care of
Fair.
child
Childcare
care.
is-
For example,
yeah.
we could do the downstairs in the school cafeteria, that'd be easy
Yeah,
enough.
that's
Right.
easy.
And the folks from the, what's his name, that church pastor, Joel Tate. His group has done that for
Oh,
other
yeah.
town functions. So daycare, I don't think is an issue, but the food thing is, I think, a little tougher nut, if you're gonna do it that night. But again, moving it to a Saturday is an
Well,
option.
and not if it was downstairs, and then you leave the kids and the food downstairs and go up and have the meeting, right? And then you don't
My
have
Yeah,
to worry
my
about.
only concern is
You
if
gotta
somebody,
get Charlie Dorr to come down and put on a potluck supper with country music
There
and
you go.
dancing, and they'll have a hell of a time.
my concern is if you have a potluck dinner and somebody gets sick,
Yeah, then,
who's gonna be liable for,
You could go down the road with nearly anything, Hank.
well, I'm telling you, the church had a supper, potluck supper one night and people got sick because they left the stuff in the refrigerator, put it in too warm.
Yeah.
And it all,
whoever does want to make sure you got insurance.
Well, and maybe
Yeah.
if you were gonna, I mean, and I see your point, but if you were gonna do it, maybe on a trial basis, just have just a small amount of finger food, so when people come in, you know, they can get a little finger food and sit down. That isn't my biggest thing, other than what
A
Hank's
dozen
saying,
pizzas.
is
Clean
the
up,
mess
it's
to
a
clean
mess.
up.
Yeah, yeah.
It's clean
A
up.
dozen
That's-
pizzas along the wall and a couple of tables with some
Well, you
soft
can
drinks.
cater it too.
Well,
Well-
I was-
Serve it, you take it away.
yeah,
Well, yeah,
I
you
wasn't
could have
looking
somebody
on
like
spending more
Johnny
money
Keith
for
or
it.
but then
Right.
you run into another expense.
Yeah, because then
Well,
nobody,
no,
then
that's-
nobody would
yeah.
approve the budgets. They say, "Come,
Yeah.
sign it. You're wasting all my
You
money
waste
on
my
this."
tax money.
Yeah.
At least the select board would eat good.
You charge you at the door,
Maybe
they turn around and
if
go
there was
home.
any left for us.
Well, put it this way, it definitely doesn't hurt to compare notes with VLCT, neighboring towns, and also do the survey.
Do a
We can
survey,
do
yeah,
all of
make
that.
sure-
And we can have a discussion at town meeting itself under other business.
Yeah. What
So
what
there's
would
lots
you
of ways
like?
we can gather
Yeah.
input about what people want to
What can we
do.
do to make it better?
It
Well, I
must be
suppose,
a-
and like you're saying with the pizza thing,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can find a couple
Finger
people in
food.
town that will donate enough money, go
Yeah.
down to Little Caesars,
Yeah.
line up Little Caesars box. If somebody gets sick, guess what? The name's on the box.
And the sandwich board,
Guess
would
that's one way
read,
to do it.
town meeting tonight with pizza.
With pizza. Yeah,
And we,
Well,
we
I
can
mean-
serve beer too.
well,
Well, I don't know
That's
about
a
that.
that's a little more liability than we need to.
That's an honored
Oh,
political
take on.
We
tradition.
can have it catered.
Excuse me.
Does the
Okay.
select board get beer before the meeting?
You know, I used to,
No.
when I was a selectman back in Connecticut, we always had beer and pizza after our meetings.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't pay us anything, so I think that's
We used to have them
the
before the
trade-off.
meeting.
What's a Flatlander house?
Oh, no. Well, I don't know, that sounds like a good
I know.
tradition.
Not
It
bad.
does. I had to throw that in there.
I hear you.
All right, are we done? I
Yep.
missed that one, I guess we're done. All right, we thank everybody for coming tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.